Do you have a hard time determining whether or not something is a good deal when it comes to real estate investing? Well, you're not alone. Yesterday, a guy named Daryl posted this on BiggerPockets. Hey yo, long-time listener, first-time caller. I'm 48 years old and tired of making other people money. My grandparents had about 20 rentals back in the day. Unfortunately, they were lost during the recession. I hope he's talking about the rentals and not his grandparents. I'm ready to move on and start my own adventure in renting. I'm struggling with how to analyze a property correctly. That has given me some analysis paralysis on taking the next step. If any of you guys ever felt that same way as Daryl, that analysis paralysis, you don't want to make a mistake because when it comes to real estate investing, mistakes can be costly. Then he says, I guess what I'm asking is, how do I know if a deal is good? That's really the question that a lot of people have. When it comes to real estate investing, how can I know if a deal is good? How do I find a trustworthy mentor that doesn't cost an arm and a leg? Thank you for taking the time to read. I look forward to hearing your advice. Well, Daryl, this video is for you and everybody just like you that wants to get into real estate investing, but they're not confident that they can determine what a good deal is or not. And they would like to have somebody kind of hold their hand, but at the same time, they don't want to pay a ton of money for a mentor. Real quick, the difference between a mentor and a coach is that a mentor is usually not a paid person, whereas a coach is a paid person. A coach has like a contract and has a specific role, and they are the coach and you are the person being coached. And so there's usually a determined amount of times you're going to meet, what's going to be taught, and you are going to listen to the coach and follow what the coach says because that's your role as the one being coached. When it comes to mentorship, usually mentorship is different. It's somebody that you know, that you look up to, and that you can spend time with, somebody that you have access to. And through the course of spending time with that person, you get to know a little bit about the way they think, about the decisions that they make, and you start to pick up on those things. But it isn't a formal program or anything like that. They're just having an organic relationship. There aren't expectations on the mentor or the mentee. There are a lot of people that actually don't have access to mentors. And I get that. I did have some mentors in my life. Some of them actually were coaches. Others were just mentors. And it's been wonderful. I've learned a lot. I've been able to do a lot when it comes to real estate investing. I've owned hundreds of properties. I've been doing real estate investing for over a decade. And so I find a lot of value both in mentors and also in coaches. But usually coaching does have a fee. For instance, I'm a coach. I do charge a fee. And if you're interested in what that coaching program looks like, then you can go to my website, reiretreats.com, and click on the coaching tab. Anyway, let's get back to Daryl and Daryl's question. How do I know if a deal is good or not? That is a great question. And the word good means that you need to be able to compare it to something else. To give you an example, if I were to find a $400,000 home in Burbank, California, that was a 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom home, wow, that would be an amazing deal. You should buy that today, no matter what. Now, if I were to find that same home in Coolidge, Arizona for $400,000, then that would be an awful deal because those properties in Coolidge, Arizona should be worth about $250,000, whereas that same property in Burbank, California would probably be worth about $1 million. So good is relative to what's around it. So the first thing that you have to do in order to understand if something is good is you need to know the value of the properties around it. And how do you do that? What I encourage people to do is go onto Zillow, go onto Realtor.com, go onto Redfin, and just start searching in that area to see what a property is being sold for, what a property is being listed at. The more you do that, the more familiar you'll get with the property values in that area. Once you're familiar with the property values in the area, then you can start to compare deals that come to you to see how they compare to what the property values should be. So if you find a deal that's like $190,000 and it needs about $20,000 in work, and then it will be worth about $230,000, well, that's probably not a good deal. And the reason being is because when you buy the property, the money that you use to buy the property has value to it. So if you get a hard money loan, then what happens is you have to pay that interest on that hard money loan. And then when you buy the property, you have to pay closing costs. And then when you sell that property, you have to pay closing costs. And so if you buy it for $190, put $20,000 into it, and it's worth $230, you didn't really gain $20,000 of equity. What happened is you had to buy it first and then refinance it again. And so really you're leaving a lot of money into that deal. Even if you just paid closing costs once by buying that property that first time, then you have to leave a lot of money into the deal and you didn't gain a whole lot of equity. But if you can get that same property for like maybe $140,000, put 20 or 30 into it, now your all in is about 170 plus closing costs and hard money costs, and the property is valued at 230,000. Well, now you have some equity to work with. You can keep that property and keep maybe that $40,000 or $50,000 of equity that you created, and you hold on to that, renting it out for a little while, and then you can sell it eventually, and then you can get that capital gain. And so that might be a good deal. Often there are two reasons why people can find a good deal when it comes to real estate, and they both have to do with distress. Either the property itself is distressed, or the owner of the property is distressed and needs to sell quickly. So usually in order to find good deals, you have to look for distress. Sometimes you can find that by going to Zillow or the MLS, and you can see properties that say this would be a good investor special, or this is a fixer-upper. Other times you connect with wholesalers in your area, and then the wholesalers will start sending you deals, and you can look at them and you can say, okay, how much are they wanting to sell this property for? About how much is it going to cost to fix up, whether I do the work or whether I have somebody else do the work, and then how much is it going to be worth after we're done fixing it up. For me, these are what the numbers are looking like right now. I buy a lot of properties in cities called Florence, Coolidge, Casa Grande, Mesa, and Apache Junction, all in Arizona. And the ones I buy, I'm buying at a deep discount. For example, I bought a property in Casa Grande about 4 or 5 months ago, and it was in bad shape. We had to put about, I think it was $95,000 into fixing it up. So I bought it for $100,000, put about $95,000 into fixing it up, and then I sold it for $235,000. And I was able to sell it without realtors or other types of fees, and so I gained about $25,000 to $30,000 on that deal after all of my hard money payments and closing fees. I bought another property for $70,000, and then we put, I think, $105,000 into fixing it up, and then I sold that one for $243,000. And then after paying all the realtor fees and closing costs and hard money costs, I think I made about $35,000 on that flip. Last week, I bought a property for $170,000. We're putting about $12,000 into fixing it up, and I think it's going to appraise for about $250,000. And we're going to keep that property and we're going to sell it on a lease option. So the key is to know what the values are in your area, and then you take properties that come to you either through wholesalers, or you're looking on the MLS or on Zillow or Realtor.com, and you look at what those properties cost, and then you factor in how much it's going to cost to rehab it, and then you compare that to what they're selling for on the market. And that is how you can tell if it's a good deal or not. So Daryl, and everybody else that's like Daryl that wants to know how to determine what a good deal is, I hope this video was helpful for you. And if you liked it, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. I do a lot of deal breakdowns where I show you how I find these deals, how I determine what rehab I'm going to do, and then what I sell them for, or if I keep them, how I set up the lease options. So if you want to learn how to do this, subscribe to my channel, like the video, and ask me questions in the comments, and maybe I'll make a video specifically for you. Thanks for watching and have a fantastic day.